apparently I've got to rotate the phone. Should I rotate the phone? As you can see, I'm not really good at doing all of this stuff, am I? Okay. Oh, well, let's just do that then. Oh, no, that's hell of a skew. Okay, I'm going to get this right. One day I'll be doing this and we won't have to have this nonsense happening. There you go. How's that look? How are we doing? Are you watching? Annie? Hello, Annie. So Annie, is the picture all straight? Annie, just give me a wave or something if the picture is straight and I'm doing it right. Damn, this new stuff to me. Shannon Whittle. Hello, Shannon. I don't know. I just want to wait for a few more people to come on. And I hope the picture is right. I think I might need to do something like this to get that down a bit. There you go. All righty. Alrighty, so here we are. There's also way too much curtain in the way there. So we'll just keep lowering this guy until it gets to the right angle, place, and space. And then we'll get started. Sure. So next time I do this, I suppose I'm going to be more prepared. Alrighty. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much, everybody, for the absolutely tremendous support and the sharing and the ideas and everything that we've got. What just started out as a bit of a rant, and it wasn't just a rant, to be honest. It's, as you know, it's something I've been working on for the last 10, 12, 14 years, and every single year my kids would come and say to me, Dad, how's the manual coming? Dad, how's the manual coming? So it's been a standard joke in my family for the last 12 years that every year is like, yeah, Dad, okay, Dad, yes, Dad. And that's why when the lockdown happened, it gave me quite a bit of time to put the finishing touches on stuff and to start doing the artwork and all that type of thing. So it's done and ready. And again, thank you for the support. A lot of people are asking, what can you do? And for the moment, there's a couple of things that you can do. The first thing that you can do is share. Share the link, share the idea, share the concept, share the videos. Just keep sharing and making sure that the word gets out. That's the first thing you can do. I mean, a lot of people say, some woman phoned me the other day and said, I've got no money, but I want to do something. And I say, well, all you can do is keep the awareness going. I think that leads me to the second point, and that is we forget. And I think it's the brain's natural response to forget, because when something tragic happens, when there's a bad thing that happens, and it is so bad and it's so horrific that it shocks you into action, what we do is we get angry, we post something, but then life happens. And when life happens, we go back to our normal life. And that horror that took place in somebody else's family, in a suburb close to you, in your suburb, in your neighbor's life, you just go back to your normal life. And that's why there is no change, because the momentum and the continuity, and people forget. And it's easy to forget because we get on with our lives and we think to ourselves, well, I've still got a life to live. I've still got bills to pay, and I've got to sort things out. I have problems of my own. But I think the secret here is to keep the momentum going. And if we keep the momentum going, there's no way it can be ignored. And it reminds people on a daily basis. And that's why the next point is I want to start also focus on the positiveness. I'm not, I'm a great reader of Zen philosophies, and one of the things is don't stand against something. So I don't want to be against anything. A lot of people say march against, demonstrate against, stand against. I would rather be for something. So I am for real men. I am for women being able to live freely in a society. I am for the protection of children. I am for helping young kids and young boys and men become better men. So I'm for all of that, and I think that's what I'd like to run this whole thing by, is that I'm not against anything. I stand for the positives, and in standing for the positives, hopefully more positive people are going to come out. So that's that. Also, obviously, if you can go to the Real Man site And I had an idea. People say, what can they do? I just worked out if the original video and rant got us, I think at the moment it's on 60,000 views. And I was thinking, if every single one of those people who viewed it, who said well done and that type of thing, if they were just able to get 2 manuals, one for themselves and one for somebody else, or just get 2 manuals and just give them away, just that's it, that's all they have to do. If they just did that as a yearly commitment, just once a year, you're going to take that. And I think, as I said, we've knocked the price down of the manual to, I think it's the textbook one, which is just a black and white text inside, which is not like the one I posted now. I think we've tried to bring it down to under $200 for a 600-page manual. We can't cut it to the bones anymore. But if you want to do something, imagine if 60,000 people just get 2 manuals, just 2, and they do whatever they want with them. They give them to schools, put them in libraries, hand it to a daughter, a kid, a son, and then once that son has read it and stuff, they sign it and they pass it on to the next person. And that way we pay it forward. So there's so much that can be done. Also, the opening doors. I really, if you have anybody that has corporate social responsibility, anybody who can get us sitting in front of people who have budget, who will turn around and say, you know what, those 5 schools I will own. Every year you will drop off 100 manuals to that school, and I will go in and do a talk, and I will start changing things, or go with the teachers and get the teachers to become teach the teacher. So there's so much, and the ideas. And another thing, ideas have come from all over the world. I kid you not, I'm getting emails from Argentina, the amount of people that have come from the UK and Ireland. And here's the thing, they are saying to me that it's not just a South African thing. In fact, there are so many people who are now saying, Gavin, this belongs in England, this belongs in the States, this belongs in Australia, this belongs in Africa as a whole. So there's so many people with so many ideas, and I'm stuck here saying, that's all fantastic. Let's fight the fights. Let's do what we need to do. But right now, I've just got to get this little puppy up and running, and then we can take it to the next level. So I've said my say about that. So today, hello Sheridan. So today, I'm reading from the manual, and it's the section about real men and their family. And this one is rule number 2. Rule number 2 of real men and his family, and I'm going to read and I'll make some comments on it. Here's the thing, in an evolved societies protect the weakest amongst them. The weakest and the most vulnerable in our society are our children. How children are treated when they are small will determine what type of adults they become, and how they treat their children and their elders. It's a never-ending cycle. Real men understand the vulnerability, and in many cases, how helpless children are. Real men make sure that their children are always safe, and they spend most of their time making sure that no harm comes to them. It's been said that it takes a village to raise a child. Now, unfortunately, in a modern-day society with walls and gates and self-interest, we seem to have moved to communities of isolation and non-communication. Real men, however, understand that it is their responsibility to look out for the safety and well-being, and here I made a point of saying this, of all children. Not just your own, of all children. Real men would expect another man to protect his child in his absence, and he would know to do the same if the roles were reversed. Real men protect children, full stop. They look after children, and they teach children how to protect and look after themselves. One of my main motivators for writing this manual was how shockingly poor we as men are doing in this regard. It is disgusting. The amount of crime, manipulation, beatings, rapes, murders that are committed against children, every day in our country. This shit must stop. And it starts and ends with real men. We can stop this, and it all starts in our homes. It starts at home. I remember reading something somewhere. It said, there's a great quote, world peace starts at home. And I thought that was just such a flippin' amazing quote. I'm trying to find my next page over here because I've blown it up nice and big. In the manual's broken up into, here's the idea, and then what's the reward for it. Here's another cliche. The children are our future. Have you heard that from that song? That's not an esoterical or Disneyland interpretation. Today's children are literally the future of the world. They will be making decisions on how you live as an older person and how your grandchildren are raised. Children who are raised to feel protected and who feel safe are able to express themselves more freely. They become confident, they feel loved, and thereby spread confidence and love. When you protect a child, you fulfill the role and your role as a man. When I wrote this, I thought, what the hell would you need a reward written in a book to protect kids? That's a bit pointless. So, how do we do it? So, number one, make sure your homes are safe inside and out. It seems to be a bit of a no-brainer, but it's very important that as a man, real men, look at their homes and they go, where are the weak points? How can I protect my family best so that this can be a sanctuary, a haven of safety? So that means baby-proofing your house and becoming almost paranoid about things that can harm a child around the house. Now, this one is very... So give you some background. I was a cop. I was a detective sergeant. And yes, I probably do have PS, post-traumatic stress disorder. I probably do have it because when a lot of people spoke about the video and said how emotional I got, and I've been playing it down saying, no, there was dust and that type of stuff. But we cover this in the manual that real men cry. Real men cry. If you care enough about something, if you give a crap, you will cry. There's no harm, no shame, because real men actually do cry. Now, when I'm talking about this next thing, I always get emotional because until you've been there, until you've seen it, until you've experienced it. So I was a cop for a long time, and one of the many crimes that they got me to investigate and go out to was children who drown in pools and cot deaths. So I've seen my share of cot death, and I've seen my share of children drowning in pools. Now, here's the thing what real men do. Real men make sure that if there is a body of water in their home, that there is always a fence around it. And if there's not a fence, there's a net. Or there's some form of protection. And if there's no fence and there's no net, as there were in one or two of my houses I owned, I would say we can't have the party at the house because there's a thing. And if we did have the party, there was one or two people that we put permanently on pool duty. So if it was a swimming party for the kids, we would have two adults, one or two of the kids, especially young teenagers, we'd get them involved and say to them, you are on lifeguard duty. You are to watch all the kids. No bad horseplay, and more importantly, you are going to watch for the kids who can't swim. If you cannot do that at a party, at a function, if you can't do that, rather don't have the party. Now, accidents happen, mistakes do happen, but real men are paranoid about this. What else? Let me go out. How else can we do that? Some cases, the fences. Oh yes, there's more. There's more on the side. Sorry, I'm just scrolling because I've blown it up on my thing. In some poorer communities, the toilets are long drops. Now, I just don't understand how in a modern day society, I mean, I am speaking to you in my house with a microphone, and this can go all over the world. How is it possible? How is it possible for us to still have toilets where babies and children can fall into them and drown? Do you know my head? How do we have children drowning? And here's the thing. People are outraged by it. A lot of people go on the site and say, what can I do? Well, you know what? Maybe one of these men, one of these corporates, maybe there's a real man out there who's got a bit of budget. You know what we do? The real men get together and we identify every single long drop, every single unsecured toilet that there is in this small little country, and we go out there and we fix it. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to find these people who have these massive budgets, who spend money on all sorts of sponsorships and that type of stuff. Maybe we say to them, you know what, take 10% of the cricket sponsorship, take 10% of the rugby sponsorship, take 10% of soccer sponsorships, and just fix the toilets so the children don't drown in it. I'm sorry. Hey, here's the thing. Maybe we should tuck your children in bed at night. Real men try and tuck their children in bed at night. Feed your kids nutritious meals. Really. You want to protect your kids? Make sure they got a bit of greens. Listen, I'm married to arguably one of the most wonderful women in the world, and one thing she always does, no matter what food we get, she'll always put some greens or some veggies in there, and the kids have got to eat their veggies. That is a way that real men actually try and protect their kids from the inside. Here's another one. Physical violence. Never, ever, as far as possible, use physical violence against your kids. Real men don't have to hit their kids. Real men have such a presence. Real men have such a command. Real men walk in and their kids trust them so much. Real men are looked up to as being the fair, calm, cool alpha male in the family who doesn't need to hit their kids. I remember I got this from my dad. My dad never used to hit us. He never had to. I think he might have hit us when we were smaller, like we didn't even, maybe the subconscious memory was there. But all that had to happen was my dad would be reading the paper and we wouldn't be listening to my mom and running around and stuff. And all my mom would say was, "Daddy." And my dad he's reading the paper. He'd just drop the paper like this, look at us and go, "Move." That was it. We had the respect for my dad that we would just do that. And that's another thing that we should actually do, is have a bit of discipline in the family, because that protects your kids as well. So if you can't do the stuff, if you don't know how to do it, do you know the internet's a wonderful thing? Go and buy a book, guys. Buy a book and research disciplining children, especially working with boys. Boys are a whole different kettle of fish to dealing with girls. Just the other day, my son is 18, and he was up here on the COVID thing, and he's going through a few things. And just if you read the books, one of the things you'll find out about kids, to how to protect them, he's making an incorrect decision. He's deciding not to study and come back and do stuff, but it's basically off to what he originally chose. So he's losing his way a bit. Now, if you read anything, all you got to do is don't sit down and talk to him. Get him working. So we were breaking down a wall here at the house, and that's the thing. I need you to come and help me. And as you're shoveling up stuff, and as you're breaking things down and building things and measuring, you start asking questions. And I started asking questions, and we got across to him that what he's doing right now is not really serving him. And this decision that he made, and just planted the seed and left it. 2-3 days later, he came back and says, "Dad, I'm going to go finish the course." So these are the things that we have to learn how to raise kids and discipline them and speak to them in a certain way. Here's a big one. Never leave your child in the care of anyone who you do not trust and who you have completely checked out. This includes sleepovers with friends. If you don't know the parents, don't take the risk. A lot of people turn around and say, I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be paranoid. I don't want to insult the people whose house I'm going to. That's a lot of nonsense. If you don't know the parent, if you don't know where they're going to, if you don't know the background of those parents, and sometimes even if you do know the background of that parent, let your kids come home rather. Let them stay at home where they're under your roof. You've got to protect your kids at all times, because again, one of the many cases that they got me to investigate was the child molestation and child rape cases that used to come into our station. And I'll tell you what, unfortunately, a lot of these rapes and attacks and sexual assaults on children happen to people that they actually know, and a lot of them are actually family members. Now, I know that that's a shocking thing to say, but the stats and my experience, my personal experience, was that when there was some kind of sexual activity with a child, is that the perpetrator was actually known by the child, and the parents trusted him. In the one instance, it was a work colleague, where the father took his daughter to work and was busy, and said the guy said, "Well, she can come play in my office." So what I want you to do is, I don't want you to be paranoid. But what I want you to do is be careful. Take extra care. And listen, don't worry about not being popular. Please don't worry about that. Don't worry about someone saying, "Oh, well, they don't trust me." You know what? I don't trust anybody. This is my daughter. And if you don't understand that as a man, as a real man, then I don't want my kid to sleep at your house. Okay. I could go on and on, but basically when a child is born, when a child is born, you become their personal bodyguard, protecting them from all outside dangers and themselves. And it never stops. Somebody once said with kids, and I think I'm going to keep on saying this, the thing with kids is they say the first 30 years are the toughest. They become a problem. Okay. Alrighty. That's it. Then what have I got? Then troubleshooting. somebody, what I've done in the manual is I say that it's a devil's advocate. Someone asks a question, like as a devil's advocate, what if? So troubleshooting, like in any manual. And the question was, what about disease, which is quite prevalent now. Most diseases today have some type of inoculation or treatment. Make sure that you tick all the boxes, do the research. However, sometimes in life, in spite of all your efforts, vigilance, shit happens. Manage it, work it, and always just do your best. And my quote, which is from somebody I don't know, I always end it off with a quote. And the quote is, I'm waiting, watching, and keeping to the shadows. But when you need me, I will step out of the shadows and I will protect you. And I really honestly believe that is a dad's job. So that is my point number 2 of being a real dad. Again, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Spread the word. If we can, sorry, one thing I did want to think when it comes to children. I've been asked about my emotional thing that I had in my original post, and do you know that when you get a visual, and the visual is of somebody's child, somebody's little girl, hanging from a tree, if that doesn't bring tears to your eyes, if that doesn't just sadden you, then I don't know what does. That just must never happen again. And if enough good, caring people, you know that old, what Edmund Burke said, the only thing for evil to prosper is when good men and women do nothing. That really is it. We've got to keep the momentum going. We've got to build this thing. And those people who are in Ireland who've contacted me, and in England, United States, San Francisco, Chicago, Texas, the guys from Argentina, the guys from Oz, let's do this. And all I'm asking is that the minimum, just keep sharing. If you can, if you've got, you know what I mean, if you've got some money, if you've got anything, just get one manual, just one manual. Take that manual and go give it where you think it can do its best. And if we can just do that, and if you put that in your budget, once a year, I'm going to buy one manual, and I'm going to give one manual to one person. If we just do that, and we just keep spreading the word, we are going to have a blueprint where people can then turn around and see, especially girls, if a man doesn't act and perform like this, if a man doesn't pitch up like this, if a man doesn't have these values, if he doesn't have them, kick him out. It's not worth it. Thank you for the ladies that have contacted me, all the ladies in this country who have contacted me, all the friends on Facebook, and obviously Gavin Sharples is full. Gavin Sharples Direct is the only one you can get on now, but thank you for the support. Thank you for all the fantastic ideas. And Georgie Collins actually phoned me the other day, and she said, would I do a chat to women, which is part of what the book is for, because when the women read it, you're going to see what a man should be like. So Georgie wants to do a little Facebook Live thing on Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock. I'm going to have, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 women asking questions. So if you want to get in on that one as well, give ideas. And remember, I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I'm a speaker. I'm a dad. I've put together a manual, and I want to do something. So I don't have all the answers. I'm not the guru. I know you've got a lot of personal situations and circumstances. I'm not really the guy that's going to give you all the advice. I don't have all the answers, but I think if there's enough people all coming together, we can probably make a change. Oh, one final thing on protecting your kids, and that's bullying in school. Now, this is personal for me. There's a difference between bullying and violence. Now, bullying, which is the blanket thing that they speak about, they say bullying is anything to do with kids against kids. And that's not true. I think bullying is when you get teased, or when people hide your pencil box, or when people do things like that. That's bullying. That's picking on somebody. But as soon as a person raises their hands to you, as soon as there's a fist involved, or a slap, or a hit, as soon as there's physical violence, that becomes a crime. And my problem is, in this country, together with toilets, is that schools and principals are not doing enough to stop this. In fact, when there's violence in schools, especially boys' schools, for the most part, and I have a personal experience, the schools sweep it under the rug. They give the child a red entry in their diary. They suspend him for 2 days, and he's back in the school and put into the same situation where the violent person is in the same place as the victim. And that's absolutely wrong. And you want to know what you can do? Let's get together and let's start holding senior people in school accountable. Let's hold them accountable when there's violence in their school and they don't do enough about it. Yes, and I don't care how many people I'm going to upset on this one. We take our children and we leave them. I've told you to protect your kids. I've told you real men protect their kids, and we drop them off at these institutions where you have these people who have these rules, but they never stick to it. And as much as I spoke about President Ramaphosa and not having consequences and don't have consequences because of violence and crime, where do you think it starts? It starts when one kid walks up to another kid in school and punches them in the face. And what does the school do? They close down and they say, we've done something about it. We've warned the child. He's going to be back in the school. And what else can we do? And if you don't like it, go see our attorneys. And then they want you as the victim, after they've made your son the guilty party, they then turn around and they say, go see our attorneys. Well, maybe that's what real men can do. Any attorney, real men out there? You want to do some crowdfunding? Next time a child, irrespective of their race, their color, their creed, their gender, the next time there's violence in a school, let's rock up with high-powered attorneys from high-powered law firms. And let's turn around and say, let's put a stop to this. If we don't teach children, if real dads do not teach children that you do not raise your hands to another kid in school, and if you do, there are dire consequences. If we don't do that, then what are we doing, people? What are we doing? All this is just bullshit. Unless we can make a stand. So, what can we do? Send me your team of lawyers. Send me your team of litigators. Send me the people with social responsibility budgets. And let's start taking these little things on head on. When people know that you will be accountable if you hurt our children. And if you're a child and you hurt another child, there are consequences. And if you don't have consequences and proper consequences, the kid goes back into school and all the other boys think he's a big hero because the other kid didn't fight back. The other kid was man enough to stand back and go, I'm not going to fight. That kid has to leave the school and the other one is the big hero. Really? Okay. My rant for today is over. I think I've taken up more of my time than I should have. Again, thank you so much. The Real Man site is there. Let's get everybody on board, and very important. Let's please keep the momentum. And I know that in 6 months' time, I'm going to get on a thing. You're going to see me and you're going to go, oh, that's that guy ranting again. Please, I'll try and keep my rants a little bit shorter next time. But as you can see, I do tend to get a little bit involved. Alrighty, so thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to move my book aside now. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching and spread the word. Okay, thanks a lot.